so... Oh, that's way off centre. Okay, that's better. So, the first era pre-release that I did was Wells of Eldraine. I pulled exactly one legendary creature from my 6 packs, and it was Ginger the Mealender. At first I thought this would be a terrible one for Commander, but the more I thought about it, the more I realised actually, this could get very fun indeed. So anyway, I like the deck enough to get a deck box with her on it to keep her in. For anyone wondering about the sleeves, they are clear. The deck is colourless, so are the sleeves. So, let's start by looking at the land base then. Let's start with the non-base. Let's start with the basics. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wastes, and that's it. That's the fun thing about being in colourless. There's not a great deal of incentive to run more basics than necessary, as a lot of lands do a thing, and there's a downside to doing the thing, only tap for colourless but still enter untapped. So, with that in mind, we have Rogue's Passage, Inventor's Fair, Ruins of Oran Reef, one of the only tap lands on the deck, Deserted Temple, pay 1 to nice little bit of untap, Urza's Cave, some recent Urza Ridge, Zalfrin Void, nice little scry, Blast Zone, its interaction, War Room. I like the idea of being able to pay 3 mana and then 0 to draw a card. Ghost Quarter. We're getting into the Urza stuff now. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of Urza lands in here, to the surprise of absolutely nobody. There is Underdark Rift. Nice little bit of removal again. Forge of Heroes, because I may as well. Urza's Saga, which we're going to put to one side for the moment. Scene of the Crime, Seagate Wreckage, Demolition Field, Khan's Bastion, Proliferate, very useful in a Ginger deck. As well, I forgot to read what she did. She has Trample, Hexproof, and Haze, as long as no opponent controls a Planeswalker. Doesn't come up a whole lot, but that's not what she's there for. Whenever another artifact you control is put into the graveyard on the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Ginger and scry 1. Pay 2 and sack her to gain life equal to her power. That's what we're talking about right there. She can get real big. That's why Khan's Bastion's in here, that's why there's Proliferate, shit like that. Anyway, Grey Havens, Urza's Factory. Because, I may as well get some more Urza lands in there. Urza's Mine, Blinkmoth Well, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, Crystal Grotto, Urza's Power Plant, Conduit Pylons, Phyrexia's Core, Cassia's Dig Site, Field of Ruin, Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, Volatile Fault, and Buried Ruin. So, Urza's Saga, as you can see, is the list printing. It was a lucky as hell pull from a, I believe, March of the Machine booster. That set has been good to me, what can I say? Anyway, a lot of you all are going to know what it does. Turn 1, tap to add 1. Turn 2, dim our and tap to create a coolest artifact. Turn 3, search for an artifact with blah blah blah, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. And the one time I cast this, my opponent said, go on then, get your Soul Ring. And we got the soup. Yeah. So, with that in mind, let's look at the equipment next. Because, no one expects you to get hot soup from an Urza's Saga, but it's objectively the best target. If a quick creature can't be blocked, whenever a quick creature is dealt damage, destroy it. Worth it, basically. Sort of wants some future. Nice little bit of protection. There's, I believe, 2 or 3 instants or sorceries in the entire deck, so the second half of Once and Future, it doesn't come up very often. Psychic Paper. Nice bit of unblockable. Prime Blade. Trade tokens are worth their weight in treasure in this deck. Trailblazer's Boots. General's Capito. Swiftfoot Boots. Perilous Helm. Haunted Cloak. And Soul Cleaver. So, the reason why trade tokens are worth their weight in treasure in this deck is just because of the commander. Okay, you sack a trade token for 1 mana. That already makes your commander bigger. It lets you scry 1. and it gives you mana. Trader tokens are just the shit in here. So, on now to the ramp suite. Burnished Heart, hence why we run basics at all. Forsaken Monument. Expedition map, nice bit of land tutoring for the Urzas. I've never had all three out at once, I don't expect to, but you know, there's no reason not to run them if you're already in colourless. Strength Bobblehead, Intelligence Bobblehead, Perception Bobblehead. Sadbot, signed by the guys from Chadbot. Luck Bobblehead, Lotus Pedal. Endurance Bobblehead, Khan Living Legacy. I'm well aware that this isn't the good Khan, I don't care. You know, like, I've no interest in ulting him, I'm just here for the Power Stone tokens. Most of the deck is artifacts. Agility Bobblehead. Walking Atlas, nice little bit of ramp. Charisma Bobblehead. And Mightstone and Weakstone. Which is a flip card and therefore doesn't super work with that. So we'll quickly, just to prove that I do indeed have it. There's also a treasure map in here, but this leaves where I keep me flips. So, I mentioned there are a couple of instants of sorcerers in here. Let's go to the pile with those in. Interaction. We have Welding Jar, all his crumbs. I receive no long-term consequences to this action whatsoever. Now, if you'll excuse me, or a multiversal invasion to sleep through. Garruk before taking a really long nap. It was a pain in the ass to track down the artist credit for this. But it's by Carl Forsberg. Why did I proxy all his dust? Because there are no other Eldrazi cards in this deck. And this way, this isn't a Kindred Sorcery Eldrazi, it's a Kindred Sorcery snack. Transmogrifying Wand. It's removal. Introduction to Annihilation. It's removal. Train Line, it's actually good removal. And finally, the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, because this should have been the Monty Python secret lair. We all know that. Anyway, yeah, image of the actual prop. It hasn't aged super well, but you know, it's the best quality images out there. It does exactly what the Holy Hand Grenade does. You know, Nendrill's disc, it enters tapped, so you can't use it immediately. You have to count to 3 before throwing it. So, let's take a look next at whatever this pile is. Oh yeah, draw. Investigator's Journal, Weatherlight Completed, Collector's Vault, Mystic Forge, Zenith Chronicler. Zenith Chronicler is fun. Like, you can guarantee you're not giving anyone else cards with this, but everyone else is going to be giving you cards in all probability. And Nexus of Becoming. It's nice to be able to cheat out stuff as well. So, let's then take a look at miscellaneous artifacts matter. We have Scrap Trawler and Mirror Retriever for a bit of recursion. No Crocs on Ironworks in here. If I had one, I'd probably run it in here. Manifold Key, both hardly useful here. Crypto Thrall, especially good if you can combo it with Sculpting Steel to get a second Crypto Thrall. Foundry Inspector, bit of cost reduction. Unwinding Clock, whole lot of untap, very useful with the mana ups. And Cloud Key, it's more cost reduction for artifacts, basically. This gives us token shit and stack outlets left, so let's look at token shit first. Threefold Thunderhulk, a classic. You get some gnomes. 3 bowls of porridge. I intentionally ran all of the food artifacts in here that I could, just because I want to, basically. It's also interaction, technically, but it's mostly... I also point out the genius design of this card. Deals 2 damage to target creature. This bowl is too hot. Tap target creature, this bowl is too cold. Gain 3 life, this bowl is just right. Fucking genius. Yeah, I don't know who designed this card, but they did a damn fine job of it. Bottle Gnomes, which is in here because it's Bottle Gnomes. I did have Bottle Golems as well at one point. I did end up cutting that for something else. Gingerbread, the very same copy of Gingerbread that did numbers for me at that very first pre-release. Thought this one was an odd pick, but it basically becomes, with a commander on board, 2 mana, scry 1, put 1/1 counter on my commander. Which is pretty good, especially when it is repeatable. Manufacture, part of the deck's Worn Infinite. We'll get there in a moment. Gold Vein Pick. It creates treasure tokens when my commander connects. Extremely useful. Mechagodzilla, because why wouldn't I run Mechagodzilla in here? Candy Trail. Well, Mechagodzilla's in here basically because it explodes into a bunch of smaller creatures that I can then do things with. Animation Module. Whenever my commander gets a creature on it, I can pay 1 to also get a token that I can sack. Which means if I have a sack outlet, I can just keep paying 1. To just go and power the hell out of my commander. Transmutation Font. Another fun one. Create one of 3 different tokens. I can sack 3 artifact tokens with different names, which this deck doesn't struggle to do. It's just Tutor. Lembus. It's food that self-recurs. Treasure Map, we'll go into that earlier. Gorgeous artwork on this, I know. I am nothing if not massively talented. Anyway. Yes, Treasure Map is a thing that has counters on something, it flips to do a thing. Basically, it's more treasure token fuckery. And Vending Machine, which is the second part of El Infinito, which finally requires something from this pile, which is the sack outlets. Rusted Slasher is one of the good options. Just sack an artifact to regenerate. Tamir's Journal is a slow tutor, effectively. Throne of Geth lets me sack to proliferate, which is very good in and of itself. Thermal Navigator is redundancy for Rusted Slasher. The thing is, if it already has, if you already regenerated with this Slasher, or a Thermal Navigator already has flying, you can still do it again. You can activate this any number of times for free, which is where the fun comes in. So, you have one of those, you have Manufacture, and you have Nuke Caller. So, Nuke Caller, you pay 1, you create a food, and then also a clue and a treasure. Already, you're positive on mana. Well, already in mana neutral, which is rather handy. Alright, so you sacrifice the food token to one of the sack outlets, which gives you a tap treasure token, and also a clue token and a food token. You'll then sack the food token for a clue and a treasure, and sack the food for a clue, a treasure, and a food, and then sack the food for a clue, a treasure, and a food, and keep doing that. Your commander gets infinitely big. You scry infinite, and when you scry the card that you want, you just use a couple of the treasure tokens you've been creating to basically grab the card. I'll basically pay for the clue, grab the card. Rather handy. So, I've never gotten the combo off, but this deck isn't about the combo. This deck is about doing shit in colourless, which is just fun, let's face it. Anyway, this has been Lucas Builds. I'll see you next time with another deck. What am I doing next, actually? I haven't covered Mono Black yet, actually. I should finally do that next. We'll see.